Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves. I suspect before we're done here today, the RoboVac is going to go off and my dog is going to lose his mind and bark. We'll see if that happens. Why wouldn't you edit that out, John? Because that's not fun. Jelly Roll's wife has apologized to Bert Kreischer. Yeah, what's all that about? Well, you see, Jelly Roll's wife, Bunny, was sharing raw footage of herself getting a facelift. In a video, we see her in a hospital gown with markings all over her face before going under the knife. The footage then cuts to surgery, and then we see her swollen face wrapped in bandages. She joked, "I look like Bert Kreischer." Now, here's the issue. When she posted that, she comes in peace. She had no idea that Bert's tour bus had caught fire. So people were like, "Hey, that's not cool, Bunny." And then Bunny was like, "Wait, what?" She explained, "I was asleep when the Bert bus happened. I'd never make fun of my friend's sadness. I was meaning because I'm red and my eyes are swollen. So to my boy Bert Kreischer, we love you." Meanwhile, Kevin Hart not happy with his newest wax likeness. Kevin Hart posted on Instagram, WTF, with, 4 T's and 5 F's. There's a wax statue that shows a Kevin Hart-like figure wearing a gold chain and leather jacket with outstretched arms. Kevin Hart wrote, "I know that ain't Kevin Hart." "This is an attack. Who the F is this? At this point, these museums are just trying to make me cry. This has to stop. I demand a redo. Damn it." This has gone viral as people on social media are debating who it actually looks like. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he wrote, "It's perfect. Don't change a thing." I'm excited about this, a documentary about Ralphie May. I knew Ralphie was awesome people. One time he drove around Los Angeles with me riding shotgun. We went to get his car detailed. Why were they detailing the car? We got Mexican food. He's awesome. Also, when I was out of power at Sirius and kind of underemployed, he still returned calls and did me a solid favor. Not everyone did such things back in those days. I only have great things to say about Ralphie May, so I'm excited for Come What May, a new documentary about Ralphie May set to premiere in Los Angeles this April as part of a theatrical rollout in partnership with The Laugh Factory. Directed by Dave Gantz and Ralphie May's wife, Alana Turner. The theatrical run kicks off at the Landmark Sunset in L.A. on April 28th. Alana Turner will be there. The documentary will then tour Las Vegas, Houston, Dallas, Nashville, and Phoenix. They're also working on some East Coast stops. Lana Turner said making this film has been a deeply personal journey, and it's finally time to let it go and share with Ralphie's fans and the world at large. Ralphie loved being on the road, and this release is that perfect opportunity for him to go on one last tour. The doc has rare and raw archival footage of Ralphie May, some interviews with friends and colleagues. It captures Ralphie at the best and the worst of times. Ralphie passed away in 2017, aged 45. Good guy. I miss him. I think of him a lot. Kid Rock is not happy with Conan O'Brien. You may recall on the Oscars, Conan O'Brien said, "Tonight could get political, and if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock. It's at the Dave & Buster's down the street." Well, Kid Rock did not find that as funny as I do. Kid Rock on social media wrote, "I love a good joke, even when I'm the butt of it. Unfortunately, this was not a very good one." Now, let's take that at face. All right, let's take a look at the joke. "Tonight could get political, and if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock." I think that's a good joke. It's the tag that I think is weak. The tag is, "It's at the Dave & Buster's down the street." I think the tag is weak, and I'm not even sure the joke needed the tag, or perhaps an alternate tag would have told us what channel it was on, and you could have picked some ridiculous cable channel on which it was airing. But the joke, "Tonight could get political, and if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock," I think that's a perfectly fine joke. Kid Rock would like you to know, either way, if you want to see a real good show this spring/summer that celebrates America and 250 years of freedom, make sure you buy your tickets from UGG Ticketmaster for my Freedom 250 tour - The Road to Nashville. Mr. Rock then added, "There's a reason for this. Trust me in all caps with an exclamation point." Speaking of Conan O'Brien, John, you never talk about him. I know. The 98th Annual Academy Awards drew 17.86 million viewers on ABC and Hulu. Now you're like, is that a good number? Is that a bad number? It depends who you ask. Oscar haters, Conan haters, are like, that's a terrible number because it's down 9% from last year's 19.7 million viewers, which had been a 5-year high for the telecast. If you listen very closely, now the noise reduction will cut it down, and because I'm in the basement and the dog is indeed barking at the vacuum as predicted. It's set to go at 3 p.m. Eastern, and now it's going, and the doggy's barking, and why didn't I turn the vacuum off or do something about it? Because as I like to say, that's not fun. So if you listen very, very closely, you're going to hear dog, and I'm leaving it in. The Oscars averaged a 3.92 rating among adults 18 to 49, down from last year's 454, up from 2024's 382. Despite this year's dip, the Academy Awards is the #1 primetime entertainment telecast of the season, according to Disney. And why would they make that up? Do you like movies? Do you like movies about gladiators? Have you been to an AMC theater? Well, Jonathan Kite has been doing these wonderful, wonderful Anthony Bourdain impression pieces on Instagram that I cannot get enough of. And Jonathan Kite, as Anthony Bourdain, recently released a deleted clip in which fake Anthony Bourdain went to the AMC theaters. Let's listen.
How does Hollywood get asses in seats? With crossover chaos, Barbenheimer, Glicked, Doomsday. But my favorite was when Saw 10 and Paw Patrol opened on the same day, giving us Saw Patrol. Those puppies didn't stand a chance. But according to receipts, they killed.
Jimmy Kimmel is firing back at a Newsmax host after said host suggested that federal regulators should step in to discipline Jimmy Kimmel's show. Yes. You see, Kimmel criticized the President of the United States' proposed SAVE Act, which would require documentary proof of U.S. citizenship to vote. Newsmax host Rob Schmidt argued that ABC's late-night show should face federal consequences for airing political commentary. Schmidt said, "That is not a comedy show, that is propaganda." He added that ABC breaks the law every single night, and that the network should learn a lesson. I'd be curious to know his opinion on how ABC is breaking the law on the nights Kimmel's not on. Like on Saturday, what are they doing to break the law? I'm just curious, just asking questions. I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just curious as to his opinion on how they break the law when Jimmy's not on. Kimmel responded, said, "They're so worried about cancel culture until I come on. And then they're like, call the FCC, he's breaking the law. How does this not embarrass them?" Kimmel then referenced Newsmax's $67 million settlement with Dominion Voting Systems over false election claims. Quoting Kimmel, "The channel he's on, Newsmax, I don't know if you see, they're literally on a payment plan right now." Switching the channel over to CBS, Radar Online suggests that they're turning Stephen Colbert into a non-person. Colbert will be on the air until May 21st, sooner than you might think. That's coming up pretty quickly. But according to Radar Online, photos of Stephen Colbert have been quietly removed from the network's broadcast center on West 57th Street. One insider said, "It's like he was never there, like the Late Show never existed at all." Another source said, "That's the clearest signal it's truly over." A network insider confirmed there will be no send-off. We're told CBS is not planning and will not pay for any farewell party. A network insider says if the staff wants something, it's on them. Don't forget to vote for Comedy Survivor, still on the island. John Mulaney, Sebastian Maniscalco, Sarah Silverman, Nikki Glazer, Leslie Jones, and Atsuko Otkatska. 1 vote per person. You've got until end of day today. A lot of activity in the Facebook group, which is Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. I don't want to steer it. You guys decide. I just report. But just as a quick skim, it looks like anybody's game. Comedy Survivor, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. There were more podcast awards. As a podcaster and a media executive, I can't take these seriously. There's podcast awards twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. This time it was the iHeart Podcast Awards, which I didn't even know was happening. And then all of a sudden I go on Pod News, which is the industry newsletter. James Cridlin, great guy in real life, does a great job with the newsletter. Happy birthday, James. We learned from Pod News that Will Ferrell kicked off the show. You know, if you listen, there was a time when Will Ferrell was pretty funny. It's just like enough already because everything he does is just so Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell kicked off the show in full Team USA speed skating gear as he joked to the crowd, full of, quote, a few of his peers and many of his admirers, that he almost made the team for the 2026 Winter Olympics. Hilarious. People are still laughing. He then introduced your host, who was Ego Nwodum. Ego welcomed the audience and talked about the importance of podcast and reminded the audio audience not to peak the mics. Peak distortion is when you ride the microphone levels too hot. As I teach my college students, if you give me bad audio, I'll take low over distorted anytime. It's really hard to undistort. Low you can boost. But there are issues with boosting low audio. I'm not going to teach you an entire college class now. I do 15 weeks of this at the college. Trust me, don't peak your audio. Anyway, We'll focus on the comedy parts of this. Eliza Schlesinger was there. She presented Podcast of the Year to the winners, Giggly Squad, with Anna Berner and Paige DeSorbo. Congratulations to those guys. And the folks at My Brother and Me, is that the name of that podcast? They won Best Ad Read. Normally, Best Ad Read almost always goes to Conan O'Brien. I don't know if Conan submitted or not, or maybe people have had it with this Conan O'Brien fellow. Who knows? And I could use one more story. I have a lot. I bumped a few things here. Let's do this one. Jerry Seinfeld's car was auctioned off for a world record price. It was Jerry Seinfeld's former Mercedes-Benz 500E. It sold for $320,000. Bought new by Jerry Seinfeld in 1992. The car has covered, here, I'll let you guess, it's been 34 years. How many miles, I'll answer at the end, how many miles do you think Jerry Seinfeld's Mercedes-Benz drove in 34 years? How many miles in 34 years? Now, as you know, enthusiasts say the 500E is, in a sense, half Porsche, because the V8 sedan's wider body, complete with a 2.2-inch flared front fenders, say that 5 times and make an edit. I did. Those couldn't be produced on the regular... I really did stumble over that line 5 times. Leave it in. Those couldn't be produced on the regular Mercedes production line in big, long German word town. Instead, assembly took place at Porsche's facility in other big, long word German town. That unusual Mercedes-Porsche collaboration, combined with the model's durability and everyday usability, has made the 500E a highly coveted collector's car. Jerry bought the car new in 92. He kept it until 2016. How many miles, Johnny Mac? All right, you ready? 2,335 miles. And that is your comedy news for today. I'll see you tomorrow.